Growing up, parents got me a guitar. Said you could do anything, kid, you could go far. You could be the president, fireman, race cars. The sky's the limit, kid, so shoot for the stars. So I strum that guitar every day.
Hello and welcome to Derza Life, everybody. Well, as I'd mentioned in our last episode, it's fall here. That means it's time to prep our summer machines to sit all winter and get the winter machines ready to run with the first freak snows we get. I know not everyone was taught how to do this kind of thing, and I figure if my knowledge can help someone out, that's fantastic. Now some things will vary depending on what machine you have, but the basic principles can be applied to anything really. So we'll start with my lawnmower and lawn tractor. Getting it ready to store really isn't that hard, especially because these are air cooled, so we don't need to worry about coolant freezing points like in a car or like in a boat where you have to worry about water being stuck in the block or anything. What we need to do is clean the debris from the mowing deck, so that's where the blades are, and the body. We also need to address the fuel in it so that it doesn't turn to like a varnish and clog the fuel system, causing problems in the spring. And we need to make sure the battery is going to be safe and that the cold won't drain the battery down. We need to do that as a battery can only recover from being fully drained so much before it's garbage and needs to be replaced. So let's hop over to actually doing the cleanup and we can head on from there. Now, if you can, try to get under that mower deck, aka where the blades are, and take some form of scraper. It could be a drywall putty knife, a screwdriver, just something, and scrape the mat of debris and cut grass off from the underside of that deck, because it will be a mat.
Wants to flirt, so I flirt right back. I just put in work, yeah, I work like that. Got me falling and it hurts, yeah, it hurts so bad. All in and it's worth everything I have.
Now I'm just going to get into all these small crevices as much as I can. Not just under here, but I also want to get all the little bits of debris in that out from under the hood. As you can see here, there's all kinds of little bits of clippings and cobwebs and whatnot. Besides, depending what it is, like the grass and how close it is to a heat source, it could be a fire hazard. It's also a temptation for small animals to come in and get that stuff as nesting materials. Or it's just telling them, hey, look, this is a great place to make a nest, and that's not stuff that you want living in your machines. That's actually why also here I'm going to end up checking the air filter, because this stuff isn't just underneath here by the steering shaft there. It also gets sucked up into the air filter housing. And if you don't clean that out, things like mice and whatnot, they can get up into there, see that, and realize that it's a hidden, safe place full of warm nesting material. And again, it's just like rolling out a red carpet saying, please make a home. And that's not something you want. Fun fact and quick tip is when you do store your machine, if it has a choke and a throttle control, you want to put the throttle as low as it can go and put the choke all the way on. Doing this, it closes off the intake manifold with the throttle blades and the choke blade, and that's small enough opening that most pests will not go in and will not try to go in.
want you tonight. Yeah, they say she's too hot, they say she's too.
Again, this doesn't have to be perfect. I'm not trying to clean it to make it run better. I'm just trying to make sure there's nothing tempting animals to come in.
She gets out of control, and all the boys say she was sent from the heavens, but I'm not too sure that this girl is a blessing. She's got the devil's eyes.
So next up we have fuel. Here you have two choices. You can either drain the entire machine of fuel, the tank, the lines, the filter, the carburetor, or fill it to the brim and use a fuel stabilizer. Modern fuels can start to sour in as little as a week, so this is a fairly important step. Neither of my lawnmowers have a shutoff or a drain for fuel, but I'm opting for the drain method. I'll do this by running them until they stop from fuel starvation, then giving them a minute and trying to start them again. I'll repeat that process until they won't fire at all. Now, I'll warn you, this footage is going to be just so terribly exciting. That may be sarcasm. Alright, now you might be wondering why I didn't change the oil on the lawnmowers. This is because as you get extreme temperature swings and humidity in the air, condensation is going to form on the inside of the motor. This water will run down into the oil pan and mix with your nice fresh oil. That means come spring, you're changing out the fresh oil just to get that water out. It makes more sense just to leave the old oil inside the motor and let that collect the water, then change it all out in the spring. As far as the battery goes, if your machine has one, for instance that lawn push mower does not, the lawn tractor does though, you'll either want to pull it out of the machine and bring it inside to somewhere warm like a basement or a heated garage, or put a trickle charger on the battery to keep it charged regardless of what the temperatures and lack of use are doing to that battery. I'm opting for the battery removal method so I don't tie up my only outside outlet. So now to get to the snowblower. So you want to make sure the tires have air so it's easier to roll around to where you need to get it. You want to check the spark plug. You want to check that all the linkages, like throttle and choke, shift, the clutch, the auger clutch are all working and hooked up still. You want to change your oil, and if your machine has one, the oil filter. You want to double check that the gas was drained at the end of last season and that there isn't any foul smelling varnish inside your fuel system or tank. You also want to make sure that if you do have a fuel shutoff like this one does, that it's been turned back on. That's what that little knob right there is my shutoff. You'll want to remove any covers and inspect your belts for fraying, cracking, or chipping. And inspect not just the blower chute, but the auger and make sure that it's still in serviceable shape and that it rotates freely. Also, don't forget to take off your bottom panel and grease any moving parts, like this gear selection mechanism. You don't want anything on the actual friction surfaces that drive the wheels, but all these pivot points and slide points that already have a coating of grease, they need to be wiped down and a fresh coating applied. Just regular grease will do. Doesn't have to be anything special. Good tip, is to use something like Dawn or dish soap to wash up after this, because it will actually cut through the oil and the grease. Things like regular hand soap won't do that. It's the same reason why you never ever ever wash your vehicle with Dawn soap or like a dish soap, is because it will cut through the wax and strip every last bit of wax and extra protection that is on that painted surface off. This particular snowblower used to have a lot of trouble going into reverse when I first got it. But once I actually did a proper maintenance on it that spring and greased everything up down here, it hasn't had problems since. Alright, so finally we have the oil change. Most small engines have a small spout that will let you drain the oil. In this case, I need to remove the one wheel. That's simply a matter of pulling a pin. No tools required to remove that wheel. From there, it's just waiting for the oil to drain once you take the plug out.
She just wants to flirt, so I flirt right back. I just put in work, yeah, I work like that. Got me falling and it hurts, yeah, it hurts so bad. All in and it's worth everything I have. Got a body and she naughty, never want her off me. Hot like wasabi, hot like some coffee. We drink like a hobby.
That's putting the plug back in, putting the wheel back on, and filling it with clean oil as per manufacturer specs. If you'll notice, I wait a bit before checking the oil level after I put some oil in. This is to give it a chance to run all the way down to the oil pan for a proper measurement. And that's that. I want to thank everybody for watching today. I know you hear it from everyone on YouTube, but if you could like, comment, and subscribe, it really does help out the channel. I'm hoping with your help I can get to making more content that you guys want to see, like the Jeep project. That should be a good time. Thanks so much, everyone, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, we fake it till we make it, or we break it off and hate it. Getting faded, getting naked, every time I feel impatient. And sometimes I can't escape it, I just wanna feel you shaping. Like my dreams, I can't sit back, I have to chase them. She just wants to flirt, so I flirt right back. I just put in work, yeah, I work like that. Got me falling and it hurts, yeah, it hurts so bad. All in and it's worth everything I have. She just wants to flirt, so I flirt right back. I just put in work, yeah, I work like that. Got me